Waiting for the homecoming football and dance results. Our football team came through with a great victory of 25-22, really amping up the student body's school spirit. The homecoming dance was also a huge success with great reports of decorations and music. However, many did express their preference of an outdoor homecoming in the tent rather than an indoor homecoming in the gymnasium. Despite those few criticisms, the homecoming dance was a perfect way to end Spirit Week and set off the rest of the school year on a great foot. In the world of sports, the fall season is unfortunately coming to an end. But all of our teams have been wildly successful this season, and we couldn't be any prouder of them, especially our seniors as each team celebrates their senior nights. Volleyball, for instance, secured a victory on October 18th with a 3-0 win. The final volleyball game is scheduled for today, and we are optimistic for a successful conclusion to the season. Field hockey also had an impressive season, with their senior night being in September with a 2-1 win. They celebrated their final game of the regular season yesterday with an outstanding 9-1 victory. Senior captain Susanna Brown has also earned 100 career points in field hockey. Girls soccer has also had an amazing season, with their senior night held this week with a tie of 2-2. Their last game of the regular season is today, and we wish them luck. Our unified basketball team sadly said goodbye to star player Rory Fairs as he has graduated from Monomoy, but we wish him well in his next adventures. Boys soccer has their senior night tonight, and the football team has their senior night on Friday. We wish all of our teams luck as they end their very successful seasons. Besides, in the world of sports, Monomoy has had its own victories this month. Firstly, our new website launched on October 10th thanks to the dedicated efforts of the wonderful Mrs. Jordan. Additionally, Monomoy is one of 3 schools on the Cape, making it on the top 100 schools in Massachusetts, ranking in 83rd place. Furthermore, we have earned a place on College Board's AP School Honor Roll for the 2022 to 2023 school year, which recognizes schools that have done outstanding work to welcome more students into AP courses and support them on the path to college success. Monomoy has also received the AP Access Award, which is awarded to schools that encourage more low-income and underrepresented minorities to take AP courses. Last Thursday, the 19th, Monomoy sent a group of students grades 9 to 12 to be involved in the Residential Construction Career Day field trip. Organized by Ms. Armstrong, this field trip allows students to explore the construction industry through a series of interactive activities. Additionally, last week, Monomoy High School and Middle School participated in the Cape and Islands Workforce Board STEM Week robotics workshops. Arranged by VEX professionals, students were able to tour Sencor White and were given opportunities to learn more about STEM internships at the facility and across the region. This Friday, the class of 2024, go seniors, will be hosting the middle school costume dance held in the middle school gym. At Sanskrit, our creative writing club will be visiting the elementary schools to read Halloween and fall-themed children's book that our members have written and illustrated themselves. This follows a beloved tradition for both the high school and elementary school students. Our fall play continues to rehearse for the November shows, which will be held on the 9th, 10th, and 11th. It should be a wonderful show based on Edgar Allan Poe's works, and I urge you all to see it and support the arts, spoken as a true band geek. Lastly, Monomoy launched a strategic planning process which will follow closely with the work and values emphasized in our Portrait of a Graduate. To ensure that every voice is heard, there have been several focus groups held for students, educators, parents, and caregivers, town leaders, school committee members, and business and community members to provide their input and goals for Monomoy. Also, students running to be on the school committee have met and discussed what their roles would be, and a vote will be released soon for our peers to choose who they see best fit to be a voice for the student body and who will be joining you all for a seat at the table. Thank you for your time, and please let me know if you have any questions. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening and month until my next school committee report in November.
All right.
Thank you, Talia.
Thank you.
Very good.
Bye. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is public comment. Do we have anyone here for public comment? No. Moving on to the approval of the meeting minutes from October 12th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
What?
Public comment.
What's my?
I thought you wanted public comment.
No, she's next.
She's next. Oh, sorry. That was
Sorry about it.
So moved. I need a second. Oh, I'll second. Okay. Yes.
Thank you. Do we have any comments or discussion? No. Okay. All approved? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Moving on to reports and discussions. We have National Education Support Day.
Hi, my name is Higashi. I am a third grade special education para-educator at Howard Elementary School. I have been a proud ESP, education support professional, for 27 years. I'm here today to speak about who ESPs are, Education Support Professionals. There are 9 categories of them, and I call them that we are the glue that holds the school day together. Because the first people that most of our students see are the bus drivers, and they're getting a smile. Okay. Then they come in and they're greeted and to get breakfast, so they see food service before they go to the classroom, see teachers, and see education support professionals. We're lucky that we have nurses that are considered to be Unit A teachers, but there are a number of places across the country that their nurses are ESPs. Our administrative assistants, our clerical staff are all considered to be ESPs. Security, grounds, maintenance, instructional assistants. I think I got them all. But the categories are listed in the flyer that I gave you. But ESPs are recognized as part of the American Education Week, which is always the week before Thanksgiving. And in 1987, it was decided that ESPs, educational support staff, would have their own day, which is a little different than National Education Week, which is in May, when all educators are honored. So my request tonight is that I would like to request that you come up with a way to thank the ESPs. And it doesn't have to cost anything. You know, an email, a posting on Facebook, Joey putting it on the webpage, somehow so that these people, starting with the bus drivers, so I know that they contract the custodians, the food service personnel, to know that they're appreciated. Because one of the things that I hear, not only in my daily work here in Monomoy, because I work as the peer mentoring coordinator, but I also sit on the statewide ESP board. And I have had the pleasure to attend a couple of NEA ESP conference last time I went as a presenter. And one of the things that I keep hearing is we don't feel like that we're appreciated and that the school forgets that we're here to do this. So I'm just asking if we could think of a way to do that. And I'm here earlier than I normally am. It's not November, I'm here in October. I asked to be put on the agenda back in September so I could do this on time. And so I didn't bring my packet up, I brought up the minutes. On the last page, it talks about a simple thank you note, that's a typo, in the form of an email or short note is always appreciated, even a simple thank you. Posting on social media. Right now, because of other things going on, that trying to get someone to give me 105 proclamations was a little too much work to do in a short period of time from the State House. I said, you can just send me one for 4 schools and I'll do it that way, but, so we just ask that you do that. Does anybody have any questions? I said I'd keep it short and under 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Cindy, thank you again for coming. You come every year and remind us of the importance of those positions, and they are truly the grassroots of what we do, so I really want to thank you for the reminder. I believe the last couple years we have put something in place, at least the last couple years, because I remember you coming up and talking about it, to do, and I guess one of my questions is, I want to make sure what we're doing is reaching who it's supposed to be reaching, because if it's not, that's something that would be important for us to know, or if what we're doing is good and that we should continue doing what we're doing.
Any and all thank yous are always appreciated by the staff. I am working from a list that I got from Ellen Burst that I asked for. All of the Unit B names, those are all of the people that our paraeducators, lunchroom monitors, and administrative assistants, also for all the food service people. I check and I know who most of the custodians are in all of the buildings. And I'm going to reach out to Faith because I know last year Faith is the one who did something for all of the bus drivers because we contract those out from Cape Cod Collaborative. Some of the other ones that we don't have, or as I said, that they're part of the Unit A contract. So I know the other day we were at a Unit B staff meeting at Howard Elementary School, and we got a thank you from Christy and from Allison, and just the smile on the faces of the people that were in that room to feel like, okay, we're being recognized for all the hard work that we do.
Good.
And going above and beyond. So that's why I'm saying even a simple thank you. Have Scott send an email out to all of those, staff, and Ellen has a list of who they all are, to do that. I've been here for a long time. I'm one of the few people that was in Howard. I started as a long-term sub in Howard in 1994. So even just in my old age, thank you. We're glad, glad to see all the hard work that you're doing, and it's appreciated. So.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I just want to say, Cindy, as a former teacher and principal, oftentimes we do lose sight of the important tasks that you perform, that you make the kids ready to learn. And then, so when they come to a classroom or into a building, they have smiles on their faces, and they're often looking for their helpers more than their teachers. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jess?
No, thank you, Cindy. It is important for us to keep in mind just how important these roles are in our kids' education. I remember when my oldest went into elementary school, the person that she bonded with the most was one of the cafeteria workers, and she just made her day every single day. She loved her teachers as well, but it just enhanced her experience. So thank you. Thank you for everything that you do and reminding us that everybody's important. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, of course. I echo everyone. And I think what you're looking to do, and I just wanted to ask some clarifying questions. So
Okay.
It says we celebrate National Education Support Professionals Day, November 15th. So am I reading that that's what you're celebrating? Is that what I'm reading?
Yes.
So perhaps on November 15th is
Yes.
maybe when we want to take an action? And you
Yes.
said you had a list of emails?
I do. I can very easily get it. I know that Ellen sent it to me last week.
Okay.
Because I asked, because lots of times if I have the extra MTA ESP cards on hand, I handwrite notes
Oh, okay.
and give them to everyone.
Okay. Because one of the things I would recommend to our committee, the superintendent certainly can send his own email, but maybe our chair and vice chair could queue up an email to send out on the 15th. I think it's easy enough to do, particularly with our chair and her work in the schools. I think she could appreciate something like that. So maybe that's what I would recommend for us, to queue that up, perhaps, would be a step. And then I guess with the other thing I'm thinking of, and I think this is probably by school, and I don't know if this, like when we celebrate our teachers, and we have that whole week that everybody does it, I don't know if it makes sense to talk to our, I don't know who this would come from, but our PTA, or PTO presidents at the elementary schools. I don't think our middle school and our high school, maybe our school councils. I'm just kind of thinking out loud, who might be the point person per building that could just make sure something's being done.
I know at Howard Elementary School, the PTO recognizes them that week.
Oh, okay.
So
The week of the teacher
the week
education.
of the teacher, so
Okay.
they recognize every person at least at Howard Elementary School, they
Okay.
recognize every person at that time. Because I'm on the PTO and we've talked about it. So we do it all together at that time. Generally, they do a luncheon for everybody. Instead of doing 2 lunches, they generally just do the one in May, generally on Thursday.
Okay,
And they put like little things in the mailboxes.
okay.
Tina, why don't we make that a formal motion to vote to identify that date that we celebrate the ESPs? Initiating that form, we'll all sign a note or a letter with our chair.
Yeah, I would say, would you like to, I think you said it, you made the motion, I'll second it.
I move that we celebrate ESP Day on the 15th of November via a letter to all the staff who are involved in that job, all of them, and have the chair of the school committee sign that note.
Yes, and I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Everybody wants to do it.
So we will do that. We'll take that action.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thanks, Cindy.
Next on the agenda is the capital plan. And I don't see Michael. Are you going to present?
Good evening, everyone. It's
always
always
nice
nice to get together with you. Good. It's always good to get together with you, and I'm always making offers to Michael. If you need me, I'll be there. 'Cause I do enjoy getting together with you, so thank you for letting me speak a little bit tonight. So, sure. Sure, what, can we go to this page, right? Yeah, thank you. So, I think Michael did forward some paperwork to you about our very aggressive capital plan, but much needed, of course. We know in order to keep our buildings, 20, 30 years from now, still educating kids, we need to stay on top of them. As most of you know, I'm not a Band-Aid guy. So if we're going to do it, let's do it right? If we're going to spend the money, let's do it right, and the longevity will come out of that, and eventually we will save money in the long run. So that being said, Michael did want to be here tonight, but we went over this paperwork for a few minutes, but I feel like I know it intimately because we do go over this constantly. So what happens is, first, and I do have to say, Michael, the superintendent, they support, and I know as well as you do, support the buildings. They understand that sick buildings are a problem, and I mean that. You let buildings go, eventually they look like you let them go. So we do have a few problems. We know that. We know the middle school, for instance, as you can see at the top of our capital improvement list, is the siding of the building. And I won't go through everything. I just feel I'll touch on what I need to touch on. And once again, if anyone has any questions at all, I'm always a phone call away. I will elaborate on these to the point of you're going to want to hang up on me. So, but any time you want to see the buildings, come on a tour, I'm glad to do that. In fact, I would really love that if you decided to do that. But I get it. We're all busy. But you can trust that we're doing the right thing on our end, and I'm sure you do. So I thank the superintendent and Michael for their support because this is a very aggressive but very detailed looking 20, 30 years ahead of what we need to do for our buildings. Once again, so there's still places where you can educate kids. We're not looking to build new schools. We're looking to take care of what we have. And I know it seems like a lot, but in the long run, looking what's going on, it's actually pennies to the dollar of what it would cost to replace the building, if that's what it ever had to come down to. But we're going to avoid that. So that being said, looking at the, for instance, and I think these are important, right off the bat, there is the middle school, is this is the siding. You're looking at the shingles, they're almost 30 years old. So, we all live in New England, and we see what it does to the buildings and the shingles and trim and things like that. So we're looking to upgrade, obviously, to do that and call it a phase. And just start phasing in, doing the siding of that building, and hopefully get another 25, 30 years out of it once we do it. So, that being said, I have to throw my glasses on here. So we've got some RTUs, which are, of course, rooftop units at the HES, which need, these items that we've maintained so well. And they're still operating properly. But we know there'll come a time when a 30-year-old unit is a 30-year-old unit, and it's going to get to the point you're spending more money maintaining it than replacing it. So that's RTU1, RTU2, and like I say, I won't bore you by going through everything here. I'm glad to elaborate on any of it if you have a question, but it is a very aggressive, but I love it because it's detailed. It's looking at every aspect from HVAC, smoke detectors, anything that we know now. Since Monomoy, it seems like 8 years have gone on by for me quickly, but it's been that long. I'm looking at things like 8 years ago, it was a system in place that operated properly and we're good with it. But 8 years later, it's still it's 8 years older than it was when originally I just stepped in. So we looked at that, and we spent many hours walking the buildings and just discussing back and forth what's the priorities. So we do spend a lot of time doing that. So all I can say is if there are any questions about any of it and why we're prioritizing what we are, I'm glad to elaborate on it. And if I don't have the answer, I promise I'll get you the answer.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
I have a couple of questions on the major projects by building. So I know the football field, athletic track, how long, I'm just curious when we get to that, how long does that take? Or would that be done over a summer? Like, is that the plan for that?
So a lot of these items like that, we would plan so far ahead that we would have a date when we knew, like, the kids were done sports or whatever,
Right.
where we would close it down to. So to answer your question, I believe we could do it over the summer aggressively, but we'd have to start as soon as the kids were basically going home for summer vacation. But I do believe it may run a little over, but I'm confident that once we get, we put it out for bid and we make it clear that come September 1st, for instance, we need to be back in action, we can make that happen.
Okay, perfect. And then the other one I know we've talked about for a while was the press box, and I think there was some money being raised for that, or where are we with that piece of it?
Yes, so the Booster Club is raising money for the press box. This is just to make sure that we have architectural drawings.
Okay.
So that, so that what gets put up is safe, meets code and everything, so that we don't have, a boosters group that's putting up something
Right,
and then
yeah.
the building inspector coming in saying, I'll find it dandy, but not to code.
Right, okay. Because I remember when we did the concession stand, so it'll
And-
probably run like that.
And these days, like, one of the big challenges with the press box is how do you make it handicapped accessible? So that's in this, and it's weighing out, is it a very long ramp, or is it an elevator, and what are the costs each way?
Right, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
I remember the Monomoy Regional Middle School roof and the elementary school in Chatham roofs being two high priorities. Excuse me. Is the grant going to be pursued again for that, and that's why, or?
We are going to pursue MSBA funding. But what happened was, we've maintained our roofs, and I'm going to knock on wood here, to the point of what we started looking around like, what do we really need to do right this second? Don't get me wrong, it'd be ideal to do both at the same time. But looking at the facade and the total outside of the middle school, we realize that the weather's really taken its toll there. Our roofs, knock on wood, we don't have buckets in the hallway, so we maintain them constantly for that reason. Can we squeeze another year or two out of them? I'm confident we can, but we're hoping the funding lines up with getting those roofs done and take care of those beautiful buildings.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
And at least Michael informed me yesterday that looks like the MSBA is funding, starting to refund the accelerated repairs project at least for roofs. So there are some things that I think they're holding off on, but it looks like that we will be getting in the line and going through that process this year to start on that the middle school roof.
And if I may, it's important to note that you'll see there's boilers in there, because we realize after 35 years of boilers, we could probably go a lot more efficiently, running-wise, and to replace before it becomes an issue. But there are some new technology that we're going to be looking into. Right now, once again, our boilers are maintained, we have heat, our pumps, everything is working, and if it doesn't, we fix it. We make sure that we're not, praying through the winter that we're not losing the boiler. We go into the winter knowing that we're operating as we should, but we understand that down the road, eventually, we will have to replace and just upgrade. So, but just rest assured that everything is up and running. We're not coming here saying we're in any dire need of anything. If we were, we'd come to you for that. But it's good maintenance at this point, having it done and just routinely and just making sure we just don't let it go. So, it's just important to know.
Great. Anybody else? Additional questions? Jackie?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm reading it correctly. So to replace the middle school roof's going to be 4.7 million? Approximately.
Approximately, but it may be less than that, but we're watching the numbers and watching from other jobs what it's costing. Unfortunately, the longer we wait, the more it's costing. But once again, if we can get some of that funding to help and grant money and things like that, hopefully we can In fact, today I spoke to someone about solar at their school, and as soon as they mentioned, oh, we may be able to help you with your new roof, I was like, sign us up, we'll talk to you. You know, so we're looking to trim that down to make it the cheapest possible, but get it done properly, obviously. Get it done right, but for the less amount of money for our taxpayers, obviously.
I was thinking that, obviously, with the big hike we just had in inflation now, the longer we wait, the higher it's going to be, and if we can lock into a contract somehow, I'm not sure, and I'm not sure what it's like to get on someone's schedule for this size of a project, how long we're looking out, but if we could lock into a contract, that'd be great. Solar's an excellent idea because there is a way to get the roof done at the same time with the solar with lots of credit, so that's perfect, Rick.
Great.
But I'm also trying to get to $4.7 million by 2025 and
That may be an aggressive number.
yeah, well, even if it was 3 million,
Right.
how we're getting to that number, and then the drawing up the architectural specifications, $30,000 for we have wants and we have needs, and I'm seeing that we need to replace the existing smoke alarm system at the middle school for $40,000, and then it's $30,000 to draw up architectural specifications for a press box, so I'm just wondering, priority-wise, if something should be bumped up in that place. I mean, I get the bigger picture, but what's the status of the existing smoke alarm system? Why are we?
So once again, outdated, and it still operates properly, but we're told that it's becoming obsolete to the point of getting parts for it and getting the detectors. Eventually, as they go, we wouldn't be able to do that. So we're phasing in, replacing, and there's loops, there's wiring. It's a little more complicated than it seems as opposed to just putting in a detector.
Right, exactly,
A lot
yeah.
of infrastructure that goes along with it.
And then I was just looking at the overall, where was I? The grand total for the majority of the capital projects for building a facility for the athletic department looks like $14,426,465. Was that technology just athletics, or does that include our technology equipment that we use in the school for non-athletic?
Michael obviously would be
Yeah,
able
that's
to
okay,
answer
Rick.
that, but that's a great question.
Okay. So I think I have some more questions for Rick on some of that stuff. But I wholeheartedly trust you on all the other things. You know how I feel about the roof, so.
Right,
And I'm
right.
really excited about the trim, so you made my day.
Great, thank you. It's funny, if you go through the buildings and if you go look at the roof, you'll see that, yeah, they're brittle, it's Cape Cod, it's salt, it's so real. I don't have to go down that and explain that.
Yeah.
But when you go inside our buildings, our concern is always, if there's a leak, let's fix it. So the roof looks brittle, and we know it's brittle, and not lack of a better word, it's showing its age, but inside we're not leaking. So just know that we're not letting shingles just fly off and forgetting about it. We're staying on top of it with routine maintenance, getting up there before we see the leak in the building. So I'm like you, I'm about the roof. I want that envelope of that building to be snug.
Rick, is there a way to go up, like, between the roof and the ceilings? Like, if a leak doesn't come all the way through, we don't know if there's a leak. The leak doesn't come down to the hallway or the cafeteria or the library.
Right.
We don't know there's a leak.
Right. You're talking at Chatham Elementary, for instance?
Well, or the middle school. I was just curious, do we have crawl space between?
We do. It's funny, Chatham Elementary has a really neat attic up there. It's something to see. And it's so well insulated and with plastic, which sometimes when we do have a roof shingle fly up and we do get a breach,
Yeah.
it finds its way because it's so heavily, there's insulation on the roof and there's a plastic vapor barrier. So sometimes that leak, right, to your point, will find its way through, and then we'll find it in another room, but we're thinking the leak's there, but going
Yeah.
upstairs, we see that it came in here, which is rarely, but it happens. So we do have a crawl space at the middle school. It's a little different. You can go up there, you can't crawl up there, but you can push the ceiling tile aside. There's about 2.5 feet up there where you can look around and take a look, and normally those are easy to detect because they kind of just come in and they drop. But the other school, a little more difficult, but right now, once again, we don't put any buckets out, so that's kind of a neat thing.
I don't want to get in the bucket.
Yeah, don't want to do that.
All right, thank you, Rick.
You're welcome, thank you.
Jackie, to answer the question that you asked about athletics and technology on page two, the first table on page 2 is that 14 million in all projects by building. The second one is is by area, so athletics, facilities, security, and technology. And in that technology, the bulk of that is network switching, just the things in each building that route the signals through the building. There's also a pretty appreciable piece in there to take at the middle school. We have the projectors in classrooms, and to go with the technology that we're using at the high school, which is the interactive, the interactive screens that are in all the rooms here. So it's those projects that make up that technology line. It's not athletics technology.
And is that the Chromebooks also?
It's not, I don't believe that the Chromebooks are part of that. The Chromebooks end up being part of a cycle that the technology department has, that's part of the general budget, but not, these are sort of like, sort of facilities projects that, overall things that they're looking at, not the replacement of the.
So the athletics line is the 1.3 million, and that's the press box?
No, the bulk of that would be the replacement of the AstroTurf at some point. It's that turf and track. It oftentimes they'll say it has, that they have about a 10-year lifespan, and we're approaching 10 years, and it's still in good shape. So we don't want to replace it sooner than we have to, but we know at some point in time, the way the individual fake grass fibers, they have a little spline in them, and there's only so many times it goes back and forth before it doesn't pop back up anymore.
So I see the media equipment in the press box is the 142,557. Construction of a press box, that's the 250. Is that right? Page 3?
This one? Yep.
Yeah.
And this one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Oh, is the field on here? Is the turf on here?
It's under the football field athletic track, is that all?
That's the 1 million?
Yeah.
Right, but then just a little point of information, the last grid on page 2 talks about how things are funded. So, so when you pick up, press box over there is, there's a placeholder for 250. You'll notice that under grants, there's a 250 line, because that's coming from, that's fundraising that's happening out there by the boosters. It's not.
Okay, yep.
So it's how they all tie out.
Terry?
Thank you. Michael, and I don't have a question. All I have is a statement. This is a stellar piece of work. And I only use Stellar once a year or so.
So you got it.
Just so thorough. Yeah. And I've been here long enough not to have found another one like this. So this is the first document facing the whole system capital-wise, and it should be kept as a report card, and as you come to us once a year and saying, here are the checkoffs we've done. So from Michael and yourself, you did a good job.
Thank you, and I do have to give credit to Michael, because he is that detail-oriented guy. He wants to know what I'm dealing with, so I bring it to him, and then he puts it down on paper. He's just so good with that, obviously. But you know what I love about this list? It's not like we forgot anything. Like when you get down the road, well, we spent all this money on that, why did we neglect that? This is like, obviously, a living document in a roundabout way. If we have to push, for instance, the field out years, okay, we do what we have to do. But at least it's a record, like Terry was saying. It's a report card of what we need to do, and just keep in mind that at some point, whether it be 10 years, 8 years, 6 years, something, at some point, we'll have to keep that in mind, that we want to upgrade that, to just stay ahead with our buildings and just stay prominent. Just stay in the moment with where we need to be, and not wait till things break and then say, hey, we've got a problem. So I know it is aggressive, but I really like it, because all the thoughts are there, as opposed to, oh, but I forgot about that. It's there. So thank you.
Well, how often I can recall other times when the public or another agency within this town or a town I work for it was most embarrassing when the school committee didn't respond, but public told us that Building A, window, or whatever it might be, and we're chasing ourselves to get that done. So this here documents these things that well in advance that we're working on it. So I appreciate it.
Great, well, I appreciate the support I get. I get that from you, so thank you. So we'll just continue and push forward and hopefully do everything right.
Tina?
Rick, I have one more question for you.
Tina?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, you can just confirm me, just in front of me.
We all want Rick.
I was going to say something to you because you said something about support. Well, you do such a great job that we can't help but support
Thank
you.
you.
So I just want to tell you how wonderful you are.
Thank you.
I just had one thing, and this might be a Michael thing. Projects planned in FY '24, it says projects listed below are already completed, underway, or planned. Just for my own knowledge, I don't know if there's a way to color code. This might be a Michael question, really. So we know what's completed, what's underway, what's planned, because right now, I don't know.
Right.
So that would be a request I would
I
have.
guarantee, I mentioned that to him, it'll be done. He'll
Okay,
do it.
good. Thank
But
you.
there are a lot of those projects that you see that are happening, or we're right in the midst, or they're in the middle of, so it's
Yeah.
kind of neat. Like I was saying, if anyone wants to tour the school, and I know we all have our lives, I'll always make the time, and we can share what we're doing, what we plan on doing, where we're at, so please, always consider that an open invitation.
Thank you.
But if you have questions about any specific line, Rick
Sure.
can easily go tell you if it's done,
Absolutely.
in progress or
Yeah.
or
Well,
scheduled.
I do have one question, since you threw that to me. Like the stage lighting system over at the middle school, what's the status of that?
I'm sorry, Tina?
It's under projects planned, page 3, the
School
bottom.
auditorium.
The stage lighting system in the auditorium.
Right.
Do you know the status of that one?
Right, so right now, Michael's pursued, because of the cost, has done the procurement, has brought someone in, now basically analyzing what we can do with the financing we have to upgrade what we have there, because it's costly, it could go, I think the original quote we got was over $1 million. It was unbelievable, just
Right.
what's going on. So we're looking at, well, what can we afford and what will be the best way to upgrade with the money we have? So Michael could tell you exactly
Okay,
where that's
that's
at, but
fine.
it hasn't started, I can tell you that much. But I know that it's rolling, it's happening, it's moving.
Michael's also working on that with Aaron Bolton, who is our stage
Yes.
manager, who is
Good.
not just taking care of the high school stage, but also making sure that we get the right, the right equipment in at the right price at the middle school. So it's part of Aaron's job too.
Good, perfect. And before I throw the ball to Jackie, so the landscaping, and I was just over at Harwich Elementary yesterday, but I didn't look
Right.
for this. The landscaping around the new playground, has it been done?
Friday,
Oh, this Friday?
Friday the 3rd.
Oh, okay,
We
next
just
week.
made the phone call today.
Okay.
There was a little issue, it's funny, that
Yeah.
we're talking about this now. So there were trees, obviously, that were purchased, which are awesome, but there was a concern, and I had this concern, but if everyone else is fine with it, I'm fine with it. But they do flower, and so you're going to have bees. So that was a concern for me. All right, we've got kids playing on a playground. This sounds like these trees, could be a problem. So we're still fine-tuning. In fact, I brought the map to talk to the superintendent tonight, but he and I will probably catch up in the morning, about just fine-tuning what we want where. But the trees are being picked up for next week, and the install will happen Friday and Saturday.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, good. Anything else?
I got the ball.
I'm done.
Tina, I think I can answer your question. I think the public announcement system in the middle school has been updated, because I remember at curriculum night, the teachers talking about how excited they were that there was a bell now, and the kids have also said something about, now we can't just get up and leave, like we have to wait for the bell.
That's right.
Oh,
They play music and songs during the day. It's really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the upgrade. It gives it a really, Monomoy's cool anyway, but it gives it a cool vibe for the kids. It's just fun. It's really, it made a huge difference.
okay, cool.
And Terry actually made me think of something. He was talking about how, we want to not have something brought from the public to us before we know what's happening. But I do remember during the extra town meeting we had for Chatham, it was that pouring rain night, and there was some leaking in the middle school gym, and we did have some town people reach out to us about the leaks. Status of those?
Fixed, repaired, what it was.
Random
was-
thing
there
because
was
of
a
the way the wind was
fan.
blowing?
Yeah, it is repaired.
Okay.
There was a fan, and it had just corroded, and at one point, someone put some silicone on and forgot about it. I don't remember that happening, but who's to say? And then, so it's been repaired, replaced, so it's...
Not even a roof
Yeah,
thing.
that was it.
Perfect. What were the odds?
Superintendent called me right away and said, we have a problem.
Yeah,
We-
awesome. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
You did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
You always do.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Always
Michael,
fun.
but he did.
Always fun. Thank you, thank you.
Upstage, Mike.
Yeah. You have been replaced.
Okay, moving on to our subcommittee representative and liaison reports. We have the second annual Housing to Protect Cape Cod Summit.
Yes. So this morning, the superintendent, Joey Jordan, and myself attended the summit, the Housing to Protect Cape Cod Summit. Lots and lots of notes. It was good to see about 300 people from all over the region and the two islands, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard. And it was really wonderful to just hear what other people are doing. Everybody has the same concerns. I think somebody at one point said teachers, families, so we're all in this together. And I'll ask either one of you if you had anything you wanted to pipe in, but I'm looking at my notes. I mean, the takeaway really for me, there were just so many things. I don't even know where to start really. There's a lot of work being done on a regional level. The governor has a new housing act that they talked about that is rolling out. And then the state is taking this so seriously that we heard, what was his title? There is a, Joy, unless you can get to it before I can, the title, oh, hold on, let me get to my packet. The governor is taking housing so seriously that she has a chief level position, and it is, it's the Secretary of Housing and Livable Communities. And we heard from him. Edward Augustus spoke to us today. So that's how serious the governor and lieutenant governor are taking this. And then the lieutenant governor joined us via Zoom satellite, and that was wonderful because that wasn't on the agenda, so she popped in. But I just thought the speakers, everybody, it was wonderful to hear what we're doing. I wanted just to give a shout out to Senator Julian Sear, who gave a passionate speech about NIMBYism, not in my backyard. So that was really, I think that was the most powerful thing for me. I thought it was excellent. Anything you want to add, either of you?
I mean, I appreciated the last speaker, and I forget his name, was also talking about, some of the, looking at the statistics on where's the pushback, when it comes to housing, in our communities, and, had it broken out by, people who are lifelong Cape Codders, people who have been here the last 10 years, and, people who have been here since they were, children, and just what aspects and what messages are best heard. But I also thought it was an interesting thing to reflect on as we go into a budget season too. It's like, for our message, like what are those things that we can be putting out in our messages so that they're heard, when it comes to housing, but also when it comes to, to a school budget, and who has been reacting in certain ways to the messaging that we have been putting out, and is there something we need to be messaging differently? It was a sort of a nice way to kind of end the session.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to add, which I know that we all have talked about this, but this was really emphasized, is we have to, in our conversations and our advocacy, we have to make it about the people. Not the policies, not all, that just goes over folks' head. But really tying it back to the people, like even getting specific, if, a particular person would speak, like at town meeting or whatever, but really tying it back to the people, because that makes it relatable. And then the other thing I wanted to mention that the state is doing is it's the seasonal community designation. So they were talking about like how the Cape and then the Berkshires, how that's a whole other program in itself. And they were talking about that because how, we're just unique in that way, and how we have this tourism and all of these things, and keeping our year-round families here, because we're the ones, that serve the tourists. So there's a whole program they were talking about, and they've got tools, there's funding, all of these things are going to roll out in that program, and forming councils within that designation. So it's kind of one of the programs that the state's going to roll out. So I really appreciated that. I think the lieutenant governor is the one that spoke about that, and then somebody else picked it up. But just how we're very unique. In my day job, I'm very aware of Western Mass, Berkshire County, and Cape, and how there's so many similarities, and they really touched on that today. But so many things, really lots and lots of policy types of things. So, but I wrote my last comment, make the argument about the people. So it's really about the people. And we really have to drive that home in our conversations. But we can take any questions if anybody has any. And we got a housing profile. They did all this work. They had one for each town. I only managed to get a copy. I apologize, but I'm happy to share this, pass it around, just if you'll give it back to me.
Can you scan those?
Yeah, probably, yeah. Actually, I can.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, but they did all this research, so I picked up the one for Chatham, Harwich. I think Joy picked up some for other towns. Oh, good.
That would be
Okay.
awesome. That would be nice to
Yeah.
have. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy.
Yeah, this is good. That's it.
Thank you very much. It's a lot of
Yes.
information.
Yes, thank you for attending.
Yeah, it's a nice full day, and they fed us, so that was good.
Even better.
Yes, it was a good meal.
Excellent. Moving on to the superintendent's report.
Well, given that it's just slightly past 7:15, and I know that you all want to be here till at least 9, so I have plenty of time to have a long superintendent's report tonight.
Easy.
First, I'd just like to go and talk about two quick things. Given the presentation on the capital plan that just happened, that I think just is special about Monomoy. First, Michael wasn't able to be here because Michael was taking a class that somehow, unfortunately, at times conflicts with the school committee on learning and teaching, and how many business managers and school districts are out there taking classes on learning and teaching. So I think that's a special thing. I think it's also really special that we've got a facilities director who can go and step in and show up the business manager in doing a presentation. And I really appreciate, we've got the best facilities director anywhere. And I think what makes Rick so special is that he's a facilities director who's not in an office, who's in the trenches with his crew, and to see how much they respect him and how much he knows what's going on in our buildings intimately, which is why I think he's somebody who just knows every little piece of this, what's in that capital plan, because it's in that capital plan based on recommendations that have come from Rick. So again, thanks to both Michael and Rick for putting this capital plan together. I'd like to thank everybody who has attended one of the strategic planning focus groups. We've had several. We've had focus group with middle school students, with high school students, community members and parents. We've had staff from each building get focus groups. We've had focus groups with the administrators and with school committee members. So we have one final virtual focus group that will be next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. There's a link on our website that you can get to. We'll also be sending out another reminder and invitation with the link to all the parents in the upcoming days. There's also a live survey that'll be live until November 10th for strategic planning. So school committee, if you haven't taken it yet, feel free to jump on and take that survey. We'll again put that survey link out in the invitation to the virtual focus groups for those who haven't made it. I'd like to recognize two of our high school faculty members who have been acknowledged for their outstanding contributions as public educators. First, we have our science teacher, Carrie Flint, who will receive the 2023 Barnstable County Science Teacher of the Year Award. She'll be recognized for significant contributions in exemplary teaching or supervision of science education in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Also, our history, social studies teacher and golf coach John Anderson was named the 2022-2023 MIAA Girls Golf Coach of the Year. And the selection was based on excellence of character and impact on students in the community and coaching credentials. We'd also like to thank the Friends of the Pleasant Bay for their grant to the Monomoy Regional High School in the amount of $500 to support the multimedia creative writing arts field trip to Pleasant Bay. And last, just sort of piggyback on what Tina was sharing, Tina, Joy, and I were at the second annual Housing to Protect Cape Cod Summit this morning, and Sherry Armstrong from the high school was recognized as one of Cape Cod's housing champions. So congratulations to Sherry, and much deserved. Sherry also had gone and enlisted two of our high school students, Stephen Kelly and Connor Francis, who were at the summit today, filming the summit to have that film be used as part of a documentary that Stephen and Connor are putting together to educate others on the impact that the housing crisis is having on year-round residents of the Cape. And then, last but not least, I would like to formally announce that we have found a successor for Jim Birchfield for technology director. Much to my chagrin, I was not able to convince Jim to not retire again, but we were able to hire Mackenzie Yartlitz, who is a Harwich parent and Monomoy parent, and Mackenzie comes to us from Nauset Regional, where she is currently Nauset's Chief Technology Officer. She has been at Nauset for the last decade, starting as a computer support specialist, then a system administrator, and then to the role of Chief Technology Officer. Prior to being at Nauset, Mackenzie had owned and operated a Bayview Computer Solutions, and had been, so she's been working on technology and networking for quite a while. But we had a dozen applicants for the job. We interviewed 4 outstanding candidates, and the crowd favorite from the hiring committee was to bring Mackenzie here. She's really excited to join us. We're really excited to have her come be with us, and she'll join us at the beginning of December so that we can have some overlap between Mackenzie and Jim, and have her understand our network before Jim heads off to Mexico. And
Mackenzie's last name?
Yartlitz, Yarletts. And we'll have a little press release that'll go live tomorrow, but Mackenzie's let people know in her school district that she'll be coming this direction, and I've already gotten some nasty grams from people at Nauset upset that Mackenzie's coming this direction.
I blame Robin. I'm kidding.
Any questions? Okay. Moving on, action items. We have the second reading of the 2023-2024 superintendent goals. Do I have a motion?
I will make a motion that we accept Superintendent Carpenter's goals for 2023-2024 as listed, as presented in our packet.
I'll second.
Comments or discussion? We good? Approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Done. We have the second reading and the vote of policy files. Do we have a motion? We can present it as presented in the packet rather than going through them one by one.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any comments or discussion? Approve?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? And then we have the payment of prior year fiscal year 20, oh. Do you not have that on there? Oh, this is a new one, never mind.
Just a
No,
presentation of the
presentation of the
warrants.
warrants.
Yep.
I have an old version, never
Yeah,
mind.
but I think, just quick question, I'm sorry, I think maybe, wasn't there something we were bringing back, or,
Oh, you're talking about a policy?
no, with what you just said, with what you just read?
It was on the agenda we received earlier, but it is not on the
Oh, so we
agenda
took,
for tonight.
okay, so we took it off, all right. Okay, thank you.
Presentation of the warrants has been done. So motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
And we adjourn at 7:26.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? We adjourn at 7:26.
Thank you very much.